Welcome, everybody, to Hope for Our Times. And I have a very special guest today. Alison Steinberg is joining us. She's White House correspondent for Lindell TV, and she's known for her bold, faith-driven commentary and viral rise from a Hollywood makeup artist to national news personality. She's spoken at Hope for Our Times conferences before. She's joining us right now. I absolutely love this sister. She's great. She's on fire, and she is not afraid. And so we're going to have a really good time. She's from the White House lawn. Thank you, Alison, for joining us. Looking forward to a great program.
Well, thank you so much, Pastor Tom, for having me. It's a blessing to be here with you today. I'm so grateful for all the work that you do, and I'm so happy that we get to talk about some current events going on here in the swamp that I get to report on daily here at the White House. So
the swamp, that's great. So just for all of our viewers, for those of you who don't know her, she also understands Bible prophecy. So you don't always get that with White House correspondents. So this is really cool. And we're going to be getting into one of her real passions today, and that happens to do with technology and tracking and where all of this is going. And Alison is very well informed on that. Also, one of the things that really has made her dear to my heart is we're going to get into what happened when you were on Hollywood Boulevard, what you had tattooed on your hands, because you got to share that sometime before we're done here, because it is so real that it's like one of those things, people need to hear it. But before we go there, I'm just going to start off, then we're going to get into what's going on with technology. You're so well informed, and you're not afraid to confront anybody on anything, which is pretty awesome. Okay, let's start here, the softball stuff first. As White House correspondent, what's the biggest challenge in covering real news amid all that noise, as you said, the swamp?
Well, I think there are a lot of difficulties. It's been an entirely new experience for me being out here at the White House in the swamp. I used to work behind a desk in San Diego covering the news, but being in the thick of it all is a whole new ball game for me. And let me tell you, it is aggressive. You are here in these press briefings and, in these gaggles, these little gatherings that take place on the White House lawn, and everyone is fighting to get their question answered. You're up against these legacy media outlets that have been, doing this for years and years and years. And these are the paid propagandists that spread all of the lies and misinformation that we know about all too well, unfortunately. So it's like competing with this monster that keeps growing a new head, and you just have to keep getting in there trying to make your voice be heard. But it is pretty incredible. We've been awarded the opportunity to come in here on the White House lawn as new media, which has never been done before up until President Trump. Yes, I have my criticisms of him, but I will give credit where it's due. And the fact that he's allowed new alternative media to come here into the White House to cover what goes on here is pretty incredible. Prior to now, an outlet like Lindell TV never would have had this chance. So I am so grateful for that. But yeah, I mean, it's not easy. You are really fighting against a lot of people to try to even get respect, I would say. A lot of these mainstream media, fake news outlets just dismiss us and kick us to the curb and think that we are not worthy of being here. So it's pretty stiff competition, but we're so grateful for free speech and platforms for the time being, like X, even though I have concerns with that as well. But, we get to talk about things openly and freely on Lindell TV that a lot of other networks would not even entertain for a moment. So with the challenges are many blessings, and, every day is a new day and a new opportunity to try to spread the truth.
Being kicked to the curb and not taken seriously by CNN would be a badge of honor.
I agree with you on that. It's funny. I actually just had a conversation today with a fake news outlet. First time anyone's actually even approached me. Most of the time they just, roll their eyes and look at me with, this condescending kind of look on their face. But today, one of them actually came up to me and said, "Hey, I just want you to know, not all of us are bad here. I know us legacy media outlets have sort of a bad rap. You guys view us as this like terrible cabal that's out to get you. It's not like that." I'm like, "Oh, well, that's funny because that hasn't been my experience so far."
So we're not really bad. No, we're not yet right.
Yeah, we're not that bad.
There's a reason people don't listen to him anymore. Don't take him seriously. There's a reason why alternative media is growing. Okay, with alternative media, though, at the same time, there's some dynamics because there's some stuff out there. It's really hard to tell for us, right? On my end, you're there at the White House. You're involved in certain things that I'm not involved in because of your location, your physical location. But with that, it's hard to tell what is real and what's fake, what you can trust and what you can't, because there's so many different things that come at you, and everybody is. I mean, you know how this works on the prophecy end. Everybody's the Antichrist, everybody's the false prophet, and you're like, what the heck? So we have God's word, but when you look at it, what is it like for you to discern? Because you got to discern. Who can be trusted? Like I said, you're in the swamp. Who can you trust there?
Well, I personally don't trust really anybody. It's a tough one for me because, I want to think the best people. I want to believe that people have good intentions. And oftentimes, I think that is the case, but you hear so many, stories, you hear different perspectives and different viewpoints, and you have to remember that everyone's trying to put their personal spin on it so they can get a one-up on you, or they can get ahead, or they can get their next viral moment. So, you really have to go straight to the source to get the truth in a lot of circumstances. And even then, that is very hard. Getting straight to the source is not an easy task. I mean, unfortunately, this is one of my big problems here at the White House, is that if you want to go straight to the source, you got to get a Trump admin official. And in order to do that, it is very difficult. For some reason, they give 90% of their interviews to Fox News. And if it's not Fox News, it's some other fake news outlet like CNN or MSNBC. That's where the Trump administration is choosing to give their interviews. So, Trump recently said MAGA hates Fox. He's ripped on Fox a number of times, yet the officials of the administration still give all of their interviews to them. So why is that? I don't know. So for me, it's just a matter of really trying to do my own research, sift through the wealth of information on my own, and come to my own conclusion that is rooted in biblical truths, and pray a lot about it, because it is hard to discern the real from the fake. Even here in the middle of it all, it is very difficult. So I just think that you have to have good discernment and really know where your information's coming from. Just don't blindly trust whoever's telling you.
Indeed. And also you have a great husband who supports you and gets it and understands some of the stuff being in the swamp. And he has to deal with it to some extent too.
Yes, he does. And he helps remind me of that too. Sometimes I'm very quick to jump the gun and be like, "Oh, did you see this? This is happening." He's like, "Well, let's, hold on a moment and really dissect this and evaluate what's going on here." And, he comes at it from a very logical stance. Sometimes I, have a little more emotion involved. So I'm grateful for his logic and his discernment as well. He certainly helps me a lot. And he is an excellent, very knowledgeable researcher. He looks at the news as, his pastime. That's his favorite thing to do, and he has nothing else to do. So I'm grateful for his input as well. He helps me a lot. Yeah,
in fact, he's helped me sort through a couple of things recently. When I've texted him some things, he says, "Okay, let's work through this." Been very helpful. He'll remain nameless right now. But okay, now with this, we're going to get to the tech things, because there's things that people absolutely need to understand and be aware of. You are all over that, not afraid to bring it up because people need to be warned. However, I want to go here. I want to go to Epstein for a few minutes, because it's kind of just disappeared, which I wonder I look at it, it's just disappeared. Nobody's really talking about it. And I think that is the intention, is to just kind of make it go away. But I don't know. You probably have a much better understanding, what the pulse is of this whole thing. So you've covered the Epstein case. why do you think it's just disappeared? And is it that, I mean, I suspect there's people in power that don't want it to be leaked, or is it even real? You know, what do you think the real story is on it?
Well, I think there is actually a major development that happened today. I don't know if you saw, Pastor Tom, but the House Oversight has actually subpoenaed many of the former top officials in this Epstein probe, including Bill and Hillary Clinton, Merrick Garland, James Comey, Bill Barr, Robert Mueller, and a number of others. So this is actually a huge development, and actually the first time we're seeing real accountability here, I think. The way all of this unraveled was very strange. This is an issue that's been, near and dear to the MAGA base's heart for quite some time. They've been following it, very closely, and many people want accountability for this for obvious reasons. We obviously need to know if pedophiles, are involved in our government, and if so, there has to be accountability. And up until very recently, I think, many people have felt like there hasn't been any accountability. And then when this was brought up with President Trump, he sort of tried to sweep the whole thing under the rug, and the messaging was just absolutely terrible. He started, talking down to the MAGA base for even daring to ask the question. So it was very strange how all of this came out. Also, let's not forget about the whole binder stunt with the influencers who came to the White House right here behind me. With this binder that said phase 1, as if there was going to be a phase 2 that was released, and then that never happened. So yeah, we have a lot of questions that are still yet to be answered. I think the most revealing information in all of this, though, is that Ghislaine Maxwell was never interviewed. So for Pam Bondi to come forward and say this case is case closed, we heard from Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who both said there's nothing to see here. We've reviewed the files. There's nothing more to this. Stop talking about it. It was really a slap in the face to MAGA and everything that, we have expected from this administration in regards to uncovering the truth and getting answers. And now it seems as though because we've been so hard on them, because we've been demanding accountability, we're actually starting to make some strides, steps in the right direction for the first time really ever with all of this. So like I said, now we have the House Oversight Committee subpoenaing these former officials. We also have the parallel investigation that's running through Pam Bondi and the DOJ. So a lot of information continues to come out about this, which, like I said, was initially sort of swept under the rug. And I feel they tried to really silence the MAGA base on this, which is very strange. Why would they do that? Of course, the Democrats would say that it's because Trump is implicated or someone in his administration is. But even if that's the case, we need to know, and we deserve answers here. Now, do I think Trump is involved? I don't know. I think if he was, the Democrats would have had a field day with that long ago. So I'm not sure that narrative checks out. But regardless, we want answers, and it's something that's not going away. I think the MAGA base was very upset about how Trump responded to this initially, and I think they're going to keep pressing him until, accountability is had and these people see time in jail where they all belong.
Yeah, I mean, I will admit I'd like to see a few people go to jail. So, and if they belong in jail, they need to be in jail. Let me ask you this. So we look at the MAGA base. One of the main reasons why people voted for Trump was because of the Epstein files. Going to release these. We're going to get to the bottom of this. And then Pam Bondi does her thing. You're like, well, then Dan Bongino says, I don't know what you guys are doing. I don't, yet the going back and forth. Okay, so we have that. And then on the other side, within the MAGA base, we have Israel. All right. So as you know me well, so I'm pro-Israel. I'm not pro-Israel because I believe everything the Israeli government does is perfect. I mean, I don't believe everything Mossad does is perfect, just like I don't believe everything CIA does or FBI does. I think there's evil things that are done by governments and so forth. But I understand God's position with the nation of Israel. By the way, I have a new book out. Did you know that? I need to send it to you. I'll have to send it to you. I'll send it to you and your husband. I'll do it when we're done here. Okay, but with that, in the MAGA base, though, now the MAGA base is being very split over Israel. And there's a whole lot of them that don't want any more support for Israel. and then there's people like me, right? Listen, and here's the deal. You guys know I voted for Trump, but it doesn't mean I certainly don't think he's Jesus Christ. I've never had a concept like that in my mind. No, I mean, I'm looking at Kamala Harris and Tim Walz thinking, you know, it's kind of scary, you know. But anyways, that being said, when I look at what's going on with the MAGA base, and it is splitting over Israel, just like the American church is also splitting over Israel. I can see it. What's your perception of that regarding Israel? And you can speak on Israel and on whatever you want, but I'm just curious. You don't have to go into too much detail.
Well, I think you summed it up perfectly. I think the MAGA base is hugely divided on the Israel issue, which is really interesting because, you know, it's like, I understand some aspects of it. Like, I agree with you in the sense that, you know, no government is perfect and we should be able to criticize them when they do wrong. There's a lot of things about Israel and Netanyahu that he's done that I don't love, but the Bible is very clear in what it says about what Christians need to do and support Israel. We, you know, need to bless Israel and pray for Israel. And it's interesting because a lot of the conservative base doesn't seem to agree with that. They seem to be very vehemently anti-Israel now. You know, I understand being upset about sending endless U.S. dollars, taxpayer dollars overseas. And I think that's a big part of why people are upset. But I think a lot of people on the conservative end have gone wild with this narrative that every Jew is bad and, you know, Israel is terrible and we shouldn't have any involvement with them whatsoever. I mean, it's completely unbiblical. I've learned throughout this that just because you're a conservative doesn't mean you're a Christian. I think that's a big point that I see very often and am frequently reminded of. But it's just sad because even people like myself in the media who I try to just give the truth and give an honest standpoint and report on what I observe directly, I'm automatically dismissed in many cases because people see my last name Steinberg and they say, oh, well, she's a Jew, so I'm not listening to her. And I just think that is so absurd and ridiculous and is the opposite of what Jesus calls us to do. We're not supposed to be racist in any regard, whether you're Black, Asian, Mexican, or Jewish. It's still racism. So I think it's ridiculous that Jewish people are so heavily criticized and that people in this conservative movement, so to speak, are have so much vitriol towards Jews. I think it's wrong, and I think it's quite sad.
Let me ask you, since you brought up being Jewish with everybody, do you feel threatened, other than people not wanting to talk to you because you're Jewish and whatever else? Do you feel a growing threat? I can certainly see it in certain areas. I'd be very concerned in New York City. Some of my Jewish friends are very concerned. I'm concerned about what I see, but do you feel that growing against you or the Jewish community, anybody that you know?
I mean, what we've seen in some of these college campuses is terrifying. It's heartbreaking to see what they have to endure. I don't think that my personal experience has not been anything that bad. For me, it's mostly dealing with internet trolls, and anytime anything happens in Israel, it hypes everyone back up, and people are, these keyboard warriors are so quick to just go off on you and, discredit you on the internet. Would they ever come up to me and say that in real life? I don't know. Probably not. But, I have had certain experiences where I'm just like, really? This person says this and they don't even know me. They didn't even listen to anything I had to say yet. They're just automatically dismissing me because I'm Jewish. Okay. But I don't know. Personally, I haven't felt that threatened by it, though. I do see what happens around the world, and it is very sad. And it makes me, fear for the Jewish people every time anything happens that riles up this anti-Jew crowd. They're pretty ruthless, and so it's pretty scary times.
They are. Okay, a few more questions, then we're going to get to tech, and then I've got to get to your story because it is absolutely encouraging and eye-opening and so cool. So we'll get to it. Okay. Next question is, how much influence do you think intelligence agencies have? And I know I've had this conversation with your husband because but how much influence do you think your intelligence agencies have over what the public is allowed to know?
Well, I think more than the average person would expect. I think, the average American is pretty oblivious to any intelligence agencies' involvement over what we are allowed to know and hear, namely on news media outlets. I think they're heavily involved. I think that they are behind pretty much everything that goes on. I mean, my husband would probably speak to this better and more eloquently than I, but I'm just a full-blown conspiracy theorist on this topic. I got my tinfoil hat on, and I think that, if the intelligence agencies don't want you to know about it, then you won't. If they do, you will. So I think they definitely control a lot of what is discussed on mainstream outlets. And I think they're behind a lot of the inner workings of all of the, frightening things that happen behind the scenes.
Yeah, I tend to be very suspicious of them. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah,
sometimes I'll even say it this, Alison, even in my prophecy world, sometimes I wonder how many people might have infiltrated that are part of that's, I wonder, because all of a sudden there's just weird stuff that happens.
That is a frightening thought.
Maybe I'm a little too far out there, but I just think you just got to be aware.
Yeah, you have to be on guard all the time.
You do. I'm
never know.
going to ask you about stable coins and digital currency in a second, or in a few minutes actually. But first of all, let's start here. Let's go with AI and technological threats. So you've raised serious alarms about AI. What worries you the most? Surveillance, job loss, or something deeper?
I think everything you just mentioned is to be noted here. I think the future of AI is actually terrifying. And the most scary part about it, I think, is that a lot of people associate AI and the technocratic takeover with the likes of Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab and World Economic Forum and the UN and whatnot. But from what I've witnessed here on the ground in DC and, reporting on this administration, I think that more developments in the technocratic space have developed over the last 6 months under President Trump. I think that he is willingly and happily cheering on the advancement of AI and the implementation of AI in our own government. Is it being used for good now? Perhaps. I think, the Doge team did a great job eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse with the help of AI. But I think that that's the catch there, is that it can be used for good and then ultimately used for nefarious purposes in the not so distant future. I mean, we have top AI developers warning that unless we put a full-blown moratorium on the development of AI, it is going to spiral out of control faster than anyone can even imagine. And the outlook isn't good in that case. So I think all the components involved with this, the robots taking over jobs, the entire digital surveillance state, a digital identity that is going to be required to participate in this dystopian society that I think is inevitable. It's all terrifying, and it all ties directly into what the Bible very starkly warns about in Revelation 13, the beast system, where you're going to have a mark on your forehead or your hand to participate in society. And I think that's exactly where we're headed if we don't put a stop to this, or at least a pause on this right now.
So here's the challenge I see with putting a pause or even regulating it. If we put a pause or regulate it here in the U.S., does that stop North Korea? Does that stop Russia? Does that stop China? I mean, what happens? How do you? I mean, when I look at that, I think, is that a legitimate concern that I have, or is there a way to regulate all this? I'm not sure if we really have the answer to that, but I can't imagine. There's some evil people out there. I can't imagine them saying, "Oh, sure, we'll just stop it."
Right. And that is the catch-22 right there, is that how do you get everyone to stop it if we stop it? So is that the solution? No. I mean, I asked Speaker Johnson directly here on the White House lawn about this AI provision that was initially included in the big, beautiful bill. Thankfully, that got taken out because it was basically unregulated AI in all 50 states for the next 10 years, which is horrifying. Thankfully, again, that provision was removed from the big, beautiful bill. So that is not a law yet. Who knows if they're still working on that. But but yeah, he made it very clear we are in an AI arms race with China. We are actively working to try to beat them out in this technology, along with every other country that's working to develop this rapidly. I mean, Putin himself even said whoever is the leader in AI will rule the world. And I think that's so true. So it's really a catch-22 in the sense that we want to be the leaders in the technology, but also, it's developing so rapidly that can it be stopped? Can it be reformed? Is it going to turn against us? All the top developers are saying that it will, and we're entering very dangerous territory. So I don't know what the solution is here. My ultimate ideal wish, if I could have my dream come true, would be every country agreed to stop and we just, went back to the 50s where we go back to landlines and no computers and, sat at the dinner table all together as a family.
That would be great. I'm thinking we ain't getting there until Jesus comes back and there's a millennial.
I think so too.
The millennial kingdom. Peter Thiel.
Yes.
So him, I think most of us have seen, he's been in a few different interviews. Wasn't just the one recently, it's been all over the place. But he's asked by whoever that was doing the interview about this Antichrist system. He goes, do you feel you're building the Antichrist system and the existential threats of AI? What's your take on his comments?
Yeah, well, his comments should serve as a warning to everyone that, he's openly discussing this himself. He clearly is warning of the dangers that it really can't be contained or put back in this box, so to speak. So, this is one of the leaders in this space, and he's directly telling us his concerns. So I don't know why this is so dismissed. It seems as though the MAGA base really collectively rallied against this not long ago before Trump took office, and now everyone just seemingly blind to what's actually happening here. And it really bothers me because, right now it seems like maybe it's for our benefit or for some good, or it's going to make things easier and convenient, but that's how they're going to sell you on the mark of the beast. They're not going to tell you, oh yeah, take this mark or you're not going to participate in society. They're going to slowly eliminate ways that you can participate in society until you have no other choice and you're forced into it. So it's just strange to me that there's not more resistance on this from the conservative Christian base. I know you and, many of your friends, Tom, do a great job of warning about it. But yeah, I think we should be listening to Peter Thiel since he is, one of the top guys and heed his warnings, but haven't seen that happen yet.
Yeah, it's very interesting when he obviously has some knowledge of Bible prophecy.
Yeah.
When you hear him talking, you go, well, that's rather interesting coming from someone like that, saying he knows 1 Thessalonians chapters 4 and 5. I've heard him quote them. And
I know, it's amazing.
It is amazing. And so it seems like he understands the things he's building, probably are going to be used.
The special envoy Steve Witkoff is expected to meet with Russian
are probably going to be used by, I got some feedback.
And it's described to us by a senior administration official as an
feedback
information gathering.
I think it's coming through their phone.
At the request of
somebody's
the
phone is
Russians.
coming through. I think there might be some feedback coming through.
Witkoff will look
There's
for a seat
is there somebody by you?
right. Yeah.
Okay,
sorry.
that's okay.
Expectation.
Let's keep rolling. She's loud.
Sorry. I know.
You want me to go over there and tell her to be quiet? Okay.
Yes, can you?
Yeah, she's really loud.
Trump's deadline.
Can we adjust this so you can't hear her? Because she's coming through. Is this better? Can you still hear me and less
I
of
can
her?
still hear you. Yeah,
Okay.
she's just loud. That's just it.
Okay.
It's like being next to the Jack in Box speaker or near it when somebody's ordering. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, good analogy.
Okay, all right. So, anyways, what's more dangerous, AI or corrupt bureaucracy?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think they kind of go hand in hand, to be honest with you. I don't know if there's one or the other. I think, both sort of fall under the same umbrella. And I think that without the corrupt bureaucracy, they wouldn't allow for the expansion of AI. So I think we're seeing both sort of play out together in real time.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest media lie right now?
Ooh,
Or are
biggest
there
media
too many
lie.
of them? Are there too? We can come back to that if there's too many of them.
There's so many to count. I mean, every day I witness them here. I think the most shocking thing is that outlets like CNN and MSNBC just, if anything comes on live that they don't like, they just cut out of it. So the American people, whoever's still watching these networks, can't hear or know what's happening. It's like literally suppressing speech. It's amazing.
Well, what's amazing to me, one of the many amazing things to me, Alison, is they hardly have any viewers anymore. And yet somehow they're able to pay their anchors and their spokespeople like these ridiculous salaries of millions and millions of dollars. I'm thinking, where's all that money come from? I'm struggling just to be able to pay rent here.
It is amazing, isn't it? I mean, it's fascinating. They have all of these endless funds that, I think, as we learned from USAID, our government was funding a lot of this, but we're seeing finally one good thing Trump has done is, get rid of PBS, which was taxpayer funded. NPR also, that's getting the kaput. So I think that it's good that, we're making some headway there. And many of these fake news outlets, their hosts are getting canceled. We just saw Stephen Colbert get canceled amongst a number of others in the past few months and years here. So I think we are slowly but surely making some headway with fake news.
That part is very good.
Yes.
Okay, let's go here. Is that like one of the mainstream media monsters that are over near you that are trying to shut you down? Is that what they're doing?
That could be the tactic. They're trying to talk over me so that we can't share our message.
Let's go here. Let's talk about this area, stable coins and digital currency, and we can walk through this diagram that you have. You can help us work through all of it.
Okay.
And then with that, you also recently called. So whenever you're ready for the diagram to be pulled up, we'll pull it up. But you recently called the Genius Act a potential Trojan horse.
Yes.
What's up with that?
Well, the Genius Act is basically creating, I think, a backdoor capability to central bank digital currencies. Now, I will say President Trump did sign an executive order shortly after getting into office banning central bank digital currencies. But we know all too well that oftentimes, these motives still continue on just under a different name or under slightly different premises. So we also know, too, that the Genius Act, oftentimes these acronyms that they create are the opposite of what they spell out, like the Patriot Act, right? I mean, so many times we're duped into thinking something's good just because it has this great name, but I don't think that's the case with the Genius Act. I think it is creating the backdoor capability to central bank digital currencies. I think it's sort of redefining CBDCs as Congress-backed digital currency. It's a very complex system, and there is so much to it. But basically, I think it props up the failing dollar with a blockchain, and it also hands the profits of all of this to the elite, while allowing the Federal Reserve to be able to shut this down at any given point. Let's say there's an emergency, so to speak, like another COVID pandemic style emergency, then they can be like, nope, this is shut down. You can't access your money or your funds. We do know also that in the big beautiful bill, 150 billion was added for surveillance. That's something that's often overlooked in the big beautiful bill. So this can be used for drones, surveillance, tracking, tracing. So it's all there. It's deep within the fine print of all of this. You can find this information, but you really have to do serious digging. And it's just my concern. It's my feeling. We, like I said, Trump has spoken openly about his welcoming of cryptocurrencies, his implementation of artificial intelligence, and it all ties together. It all goes hand in hand. If we want to pull up that graphic now, this is directly from the World Economic Forum, page 22. It's sort of a circle in the middle with the digital identity, and then all of these things shoot off of it, because this is ultimately what the digital identity will entail. In order to participate in society, you're going to have your bank accounts linked up. You're going to have to, be able to have the digital ID so you can get on social media, so you can get medical care, so you can visit your family. If anything you want to do is going to be tied to a digital identity, which is very clearly outlined here in this World Economic Forum document. And then it gets even more frightening because on the next page, on page 23, it very clearly outlines that the digital identity will be embedded in the body. So again, Revelation 13, all of these things are working together to create this digital ID, which I think is, very rapidly accelerating and developing. All of these things, when you look at them, the Genius Act, the AI development, everything that we see going on today, it all ties together, goes hand in hand, and is ultimately paving the way for this beast system that could happen at any point. Will it happen under Trump? I don't know. I don't think he would let that happen, but it certainly is putting up the building blocks for any other administration to come in here and have the groundwork perfectly laid to implement this at any given point. So I just say, don't be too trusting, be on the lookout, be aware of what's happening, do your own research, and, realize that just because we have Trump in office doesn't mean that we can kick our feet up and relax. We need to be very critical, and we need to continue to have these conversations, because I think he actually responds well to public pressure. I think that's why we're actually gaining some ground on the Epstein issue, is because MAGA wouldn't shut up about it. So I think we need to have these same conversations about the digital ID and the future digital surveillance state that will inevitably happen if we don't fight back right now.
Yeah, I look at some of these things, and it's also very interesting that just recently it was reported regarding Bill Gates. Bill Gates says, hey, the smartphone's going away because now we have a tattoo that's going to be implanted on your body, and it's going to do way more than your smartphone ever did. And based on what you just said, so I'll just read these topics that you have in this diagram from the World Economic Forum. So this is what they plan to control. Right? Healthcare, as you mentioned, financial services, food and sustainability. That means farmers, markets, everything.
Yep.
Travel and mobility. Gee, what a shocker that is, right? And the UK has already said, yeah, we're definitely going to be controlling that. Humanitarian response, e-commerce. Wow, e-commerce, social platforms. Wasn't e-commerce a really big thing during that pandemic thing that was going on?
Yeah.
E-government. Telecommunications, and you look at that and think, okay, and then you talked about it being implanted. So you're looking at this going, everything. I look 5 years ago and think we were totally, the world. It wasn't just an isolated thing to the United States or Australia. The whole world was under this COVID thing, right? So everybody got used to some kind of manipulation. A lot of people woke up during that. A lot of other people went woke during that. Two different things.
Yeah.
But we were manipulated. Everybody was manipulated. I mean, heck, Alison, people were buying toilet paper because they thought the world was going to end. It's just like these idiotic things. But it also, people were brainwashed. So it was, when I look at it, and I thought about it even back then, it was a testing ground to see how people would respond. Who does respond, who doesn't respond, who needs to be watched, who doesn't, who's more of a concern, what groups, all these different things. Where the holes are, where they have to be shored up, that type of thing. World Economic Forum, this planning hasn't gone away, as you reported on right here.
Yeah, no, it has not gone away, and that's what's so upsetting. I mean, it's still here, and it's here to stay. And as that is outlined there, the developments continue. I mean, I just saw today, I'm looking at this headline, the OpenAI CEO, Sam Altman, is now pitching eyeball scanning world IDs to bankers. So this is called a world ID. You're literally, in order to access your banking information, you're going to have to get your iris scanned. So this is, in essence, a digital ID. You can't access your banking information without, putting forward your biometric data in this iris scanner that will then determine if you're a human or an AI robot that's trying to get your banking data. I mean, we're seeing this all play out right now. And as you mentioned, Tom, the testing ground was COVID. They very quickly saw who would comply, who would resist. Thankfully, we are in the group of resistors, and I will resist until the Lord comes back, because I will never comply with the tyranny. But I think it's so upsetting that all of this is happening and no one really seems to be be that concerned about it. Like I said, this was something that MAGA largely was very vocal about prior to Trump assuming office. And now this conversation has just sort of died out. And now people look at me like I'm crazy because I'm still sounding the alarm on it when I see headlines like this, that we're going to have to submit to iris scanners to get our banking information. I mean, that is horrifying.
Maybe that's part of the reason why they don't want you into their MSM group, because you call out these things. And if you just go along with the system, Alison, you'll be able to get those $1 million salaries too. You just go along with it. Everything's going to be good. With Sam Altman, from what I understand, what he's selling fear. He says, hey, there's going to be fraud, where AI is going to take over, so you have to be scanned. But this is part of the selling of everything. Make everybody afraid and then tell them that you have the solution.
Exactly.
And so people are being programmed for it. You said you don't think, it doesn't seem like many people are waking up to it. I totally agree. Hardly anybody talks about this apart from alternative media. Most of it is rather small. In fact, now it's like everybody, all they're talking about is how much they hate Israel or something like that. Or what's her name, Sydney Sweeney and her jeans or something. We're being distracted in so many different ways. But let me ask you this, and then I'm going to go into what I just think people really, really need to hear. But it's this question: do you think, and you kind of already answered this, but do you think most people understand the implications of programmable money?
I don't think they do. I think that they just trust Trump. I've heard that in the briefing room so many times by Caroline Levitt. Do I like a lot of what she does? Yes. But half the time when people ask legitimate questions, she says, just trust Trump. I'm like, okay, yeah, just trust the plan. Let's just all blindly turn an eye here and believe that the administration has our best interest at heart. Listen, I don't even think Trump understands the implications of this. I don't even think he is fully aware that this programmable currency, what could be the backdoor to the central bank digital currency, could have devastating implications. I think he oftentimes has the country's best interest at heart, but a lot of this is happening rapidly, and Trump has seemingly embraced a lot of these tech bros, the control oligarchs, as I like to call them, that have weaseled their way into the White House now that Trump is president. People that were formerly very against him are now seemingly befriending him. So I find that very odd, and it pains me to know that a large portion of the base just blindly follows along with whatever he says and does because they think it's good, and they don't actually realize the reality of where this leads and what the implications of all of this could be. So no, I think most people are completely blind to the reality of the situation.
Well, I would look at it like this. You could be the next Caroline Levitt if you would just go along with it and not call things out. All right.
Yeah, never going to do that.
Yeah. All right. So let's go here. So you used to work in Hollywood.
Yes.
On Hollywood Boulevard or Sunset Boulevard or somewhere down there where you worked with stars. You did makeup or whatever it was for them. Let's go here for a few minutes because your story is fascinating. And then God got a hold of you.
Yes, he did. And thank you, Jesus, for saving me from a life of just absolute sin and destruction. I grew up in an irreligious household, never really went to church except for maybe on Christmas a couple times ever in my life. I got into doing makeup, which was my dream job. I left my family and moved to Hollywood to start a career in makeup artistry. I spent most of my 20s trying to climb that career ladder and make a name for myself, and it did happen. I got, booked on some incredible jobs. I got to do makeup for the stars and the celebrities, and I thought that I had accomplished my dream and I should be so happy and that I should be so fulfilled, but I wasn't. I was actually still really miserable. I had unfortunately found myself on a cocktail of medications from these psychiatrists that I was seeing because I was so depressed. I participated in a lot of terrible things that it makes me shudder to even reflect on them. But, partying, drinking, drugs, all of that was very prevalent in my life because that's what you had to do to be, in the scene in Hollywood. So I fell victim to that. And it wasn't until I was 30 years old that I actually removed myself from the Hollywood scene. And this was an act of God, because this happened during the COVID. Somehow I just felt like I was being lied to during COVID, though I was totally oblivious and never even paid attention to politics prior to this point in my life. I just knew something was wrong about what was happening with COVID. I was very upset because I was out of work for the first time in my life. I couldn't go to work because I was an independent contractor, and we were banned from working on these Hollywood movie sets. So I had a lot of time on my hands to think. And so I moved away to Huntington Beach from Los Angeles to Huntington Beach. It was the only place in California that was open and you could actually, go to dinner without having to put a face diaper on. So I moved away for a period of time, and it was there in Huntington Beach that the Lord finally got a hold of my heart and saved me. Because I was actually at this point in time very active in pushing back against these mandates, and I kind of attended a lot of these protests and rallies with many great freedom fighters and Christian patriots. I befriended a lot of Christians, and I thought there was something different about them. I was so inspired by them, and it was so incredible to hear them speak and address the opposition with such love. I just always wondered, how can you be so nice to these terrible people? What is it about you? So one of them actually gave me a Bible, and I had, sadly, I regret to inform you, shoved the Bible to the back of my bookshelf and didn't look at it for months. And then one day I came home and I felt the Lord tugging on my heart, telling me, you have to pull out that Bible and just read it. So I did. I totally immersed myself in the Bible and read for hours and hours. I just had tears rolling down my face. I felt like my arms being stretched up towards the sky, which I'm like, why am I putting my arms up? I had no idea. I'd never even been to church, really. And so I just knew I felt a calling to go to the beach to go watch the sunrise that morning, because I had stayed up all night reading the Bible from 10 o'clock at night till, at this point, it was maybe 5 a.m. I went down to the beach, brought my Bible with me. I had mascara tears running down my face, and I didn't even care who saw me. I knew I had to get to the beach with my Bible. So I did that, and I watched the sunrise, and it was so beautiful. And I knew in that moment the Lord was with me, and I just knew, because I've always been a doubtful person and filled with such skepticism. And I kind of needed some reassurance that this was what I needed to do. I needed to give my life to Jesus. And the reassurance I got in that moment was 2 dolphins coming out of the ocean right before my eyes in an arching pattern like this. Dolphins are my favorite animal, and they were right in front of me. And I just knew right then and there, the Lord is speaking to me, and this is the most beautiful moment of my life, and I need to change everything about me immediately and repent and give my life to Jesus. So I did that right then and there in Huntington Beach, and my life has changed radically ever since I made that decision, and I'm so grateful that I did.
Amen. God can minister to us through dolphins. It's just amazing. I love your testimony. Your dad was Jewish, hence your name Steinberg. But yes, you were, as you mentioned, not a religious home. Didn't go to church, didn't go to synagogue. It was none of those things. Yet you came to faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. And on your hands, you have a tattoo, one on each hand. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
What do they say? What is it?
Height of my depression, I had these tattoos done on my hand. I don't know if you can see this. Says no. Well, I'll read it to you in the correct order. No hope on this side, no future. And what do you know? The Bible actually tells us that through Jesus, we have a hope and a future. And so the fact that out of everything I could have had tattooed on my body, no hope and no future, it just goes to show how lost I was, and that the Lord found me and saved me and totally changed me for good. So it's truly amazing.
Amen. That is so powerful.
Yes.
God has a future and a hope for us. And what a great reminder that is. You're just in your downward spiral, in a sense, the P. Diddy world and all of that stuff that went with Hollywood. And God saves us. And really, that's ultimately, you get to use your voice the way God has created you to be able to be there in Washington. I think it's fantastic. And Alison, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, is there a way they can?
Yes, absolutely. You can follow me on all socials. My handle is Alison in the Know. That's Alison with 1 L. And then check us out on Lindell TV too. We have live reporting Monday through Friday, really good original content that you won't see on any of the other fake news outlets or even the right-wing outlets. We do a lot of unique content, so check us out there. And if I can be saved, anyone can. So don't lose hope. Lean on the Lord. He is so good, and I'm so grateful that he's put me in this place where I can share not only the truth, but his truth with you all. So thank you so much, Tom, for having me and allowing me to share. I really appreciate it.
Amen. Allison, so great to have you on today. And again, everybody, Allison is bold. Believe me, you will not be disappointed. And she knows her stuff too, so you'll be blessed by her. Follow her. Check her out on Lindell TV. Again, looking forward to seeing you and your husband soon. Please tell him I said hi, and God bless you. I know it's later than it is here, so go enjoy your dinner, and great seeing you, Allison. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tom. Great to see you too. God bless.
Bye, everybody.